All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations unto the Akim, I heard pushing his gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is Brother Quanah Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. It's going to be a, in transit lesson on my way back to the crib, man. But, I was ultimately meditating on, the lesson, the elder, right, out there from Des Moines, Iowa. And Salaki, if I don't say his name, correctly, I think his name is, Mathathia, right, the elder Mathathia. I think his channel is GMS Feed the Flock. And, he ultimately did, and this was on the GMS Des Moines too, if I'm not mistaken, that channel. But he did a lesson, and in the lesson, he was basically going into, staying active in this ministry, right? Staying active in this truth, which means what? Reading, watching videos, getting the proper breakdowns, man, and not just, being, somebody who ultimately reads or is active when he's around the bros, but being active, on your own free time, man. Just, ultimately just being addicted, right, to the scriptures, being addicted, right, to this truth, this, to wisdom, which is how we're supposed to be, man. And it was a very beautiful and powerful, lesson, through the spirit, Salakia, I'm not able to, necessarily pull it up. But, you can ultimately go and search for the lesson, GMS Feed the Flock, right? All one word, Salakia. And then, you can look it up on GMS Des Moines 2, right? Look it up on, one of those channels. And Lord will, I'll be able to put the link, in the description box of this video, but it's a very powerful, very heavy lesson, and very important, man, and it's got a couple scriptures, just ultimately want to, add my, spiritual 2 cents, right? Because again, right, we're supposed to be addicted, right? And in this Sirach, the first chapter, right, the prologue, again, it mentions that, right, how that, ultimately, this man, right, was addicted, right, to learning, right, to wisdom, right. I'm going to jump down to where it's at, right. It'll be at the top of the screen on the right hand side where it says my, right, it says my grandfather, right, and this is Sirach ultimately speaking, right. It says my grandfather Yahweh Shai, right, which is not talking about, the son of the heavenly father, right. There's another man, right. It says when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and of the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. So we have to be addicted, right? These things are only going to profit us, right, if we truly are addicted to wisdom, right? If we're truly addicted, right, to that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You can't be half-assed. You can't be, on the fence when it comes to, serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, getting this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because as we read in Revelation, the 3rd chapter, right, the 15th verse on down, right, that those that who are lukewarm, those who are, ultimately, half-assed, hey, the Lord's going to spew you out, right? The Lord's not going to be dealing with you, So we got to be, we got to, as the scriptures say, right, give ourselves wholly unto these, unto you, this doctrine, right, this truth, this ministry, to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, Actually, we'll jump to that because I wanted to get a couple words, right? It says what? It says, and this is 1 Timothy 4, and 13. But I want to jump up to this little header right here. It says a good minister's discipline, right? Because we made mention, right, that we serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. When you go into this word minister, right, it means to serve, right? You know, we serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua first and foremost, man. Right? This is what we, you know, have ultimately been called to do. You know, scriptures say to walk worthy of the vocation wherewith we are called, man. And vocation goes back to business, right? This is the Lord's business. Lord's, you know, like, you know, just that, right? The Lord's business, right? Yahweh Shai said it best, right? Know ye not that I come to do my Father's business, right? To serve, right? The Heavenly Father. We're serving Yahweh Wa Yahweh Shai, right? Wa meaning and, right? Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You know, it's what we've been called to do, man. You know, and as it says right here, a good minister's discipline, right? We have to be disciplined in this walk, man. Right? Doing the things that are necessary, right, for us to be, you know, considered, you know, a good employee, right? So that we're not fired, right? Because you ultimately, you know, if you're at work, man, you know, and you're not doing the work, you know, you're just being half-assed. You do something here, do something there, but you're not doing the work. Hey, well, guess what? You're ultimately going to get fired, man. And we don't want to be fired, right? Because ultimately being fired, you know, means death. And we don't want to receive death, man. So we gotta, you know, we gotta be in the book, man. You know, I'll drop down. It says, 1 Timothy 4 and verse 13. It says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine, man. And I want to grab that word attend, right? I have it pulled up right here, you know, which is the word of that word attendance, right? To attend, right? It says what? To be subject to. When you go into that word subject, it means under the control of, right? We got to be subject, right? Reading, you know, it says to be subject to, you know. It says direct one's mind or energies, right? We got to put, as scriptures talk about, right, you know, that he that hath little business, right, shall become wise, right? Because you're putting most of your time, right, or all of your leisure time, that free time that you have, right, you're putting it into, you know, gathering, you know, that oil, right, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, right, which is, again, what we're supposed to be doing, man. Right, Proverbs was that 4 and verse 5, right? Get wisdom, get understanding. You know, verse 7 says what, right? Wisdom is a principal thing, right? Meaning it's the choice thing, it's the best thing, it's the number one thing that we should be doing right now. And we have to understand, right? Yeah, the scriptures say, right, that we're supposed to do everything, you know, in a proper balance, right? So those who have, you know, families, right, wives and children, right, we still gotta, you know, ultimately, you know, be around our families and take care of business, right? We gotta go to work, so on and so forth, man. All these different things, you know. But all that leisure time, the extra time that we do have, right, we gotta be putting that towards Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know, getting this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man. Watching these videos, reading as much as possible, man. Right, brothers be sacrificing their lunch to do videos and reading and whatnot, man. You know, because you know, you might not have other, you know, time outside of that, you know. But that's what we're called to do. You know, that's literally what we're called to do, man. Right? To, you know, give attendance to reading, exhortation, and to doctrine, as it just said, right? Now, continue on. It says, neglect not the gift, in verse 14, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by the prophecy, with the laying on of the hands of the presbytery, right? Which is going into, you know, ultimately those men that came before us, man. The elder apostles, the elders, you know, the men that labored, right, before us, man, to get these, to find out the you know, the proper understanding, man, of the scriptures, man, and to ultimately to teach it, right, so that we can know it, you know. It says meditate upon these things, right? Meaning to think about these things, man. To be constantly having these scriptures in your thoughts, man. Right? It says, give thyself wholly to them. Give thyself wholly to them, man. You can't be half-assed. You can't be, lukewarm. You got to be all in, man. Right? It says that thy profiting may appear to all. Take heed unto thyself and unto thy doctrine. Continue in them. For in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. That's right, man. Right? Because that's what we want, right? We want salvation, right? Not only for ourselves. Yeah, we're looking, for salvation for ourselves, right? But for those, for the brotherhood, for the body, man, for the elect, those who truly love Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, man. God damn stupid, man. This dude just cut over. He got a lot of demons out here, man. Driving on this damn road, man. Hey, we should be throwing up them prayers, man. Constantly be throwing up the prayers, man. Which is all part of, again, right, giving attendance, right? Prayer is part of that, man. Praying for one another, right? Praying for ourselves, praying for one another, praying for the body. It's all part of this, man. Staying active in the ministry, staying active in this truth. It's all a part of that, But that's all I got, man. I just wanted to ultimately, add my spiritual 2 cents, man. Hey, we got to stay active, man, as the elder said, man. The elder Mathathia, man, from the GMS Des Moines camp. Stay active in this ministry, man. Don't be lukewarm. Don't be half-assed, right? This is life and death, man. This isn't a game. This is life and death. Truly life and death. But that's all I got, man. Lord will is edifying. Lord will straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, B'Hashem, Rachak Wadash. Again, double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, say shalom.